Hello, everybody, and welcome to our pay-per-review of WWE's Crown Jewel here on our local establishment, or you might be tuning in on Astrid's Twitch channel as well, too. Being joined today by Chris Parrish and Astrid. How are you both doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Fantastic. Parrish?
I'm doing swell.
Awesome. Well, we just wrapped up watching WWE's Crown Jewel, and we're going to break it down. And speaking of Crown Jewel, a pose was stolen tonight that went worldwide and famous. Astrid, your favorite Logan Paul stealing your famous pose.
That check better be in the mail tomorrow. Tomorrow.
All right. So we're going to break down every single match for you guys.
Does that mean that you're accepting the Saudi money now?
That's a big payment, you know.
It's a big paycheck. I can't say no.
That's right. So let's break down what went down here tonight in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It's nice, first of all, that this one went on so early, so we can get this thing in before anybody gets too tired. I know Parrish looked like you could use some energy. You know what? Before we talk about the show, I know where that energy could be found, and I think that hat says it all. Why don't you let everybody know? Just where'd you get that hat from?
I purchased it. I bought it at rogueenergy.com.
Yes, Rogue Energy, as you see on the ticker down below, rogueenergy.com. You can use that promo code OLEPODS to get 10% off your order. Or if you scan the QR code over in the corner of your screen, it'll take you there as well. Remember, OLEPODS for 10% off your order. It's an alternative to the average energy drinks that you find in the stores. We're talking about low calorie, vegan friendly, sugar-free, and full of flavor. So if you need the right kind of pickup that you need when you've been up all night, Rogue Energy is the place to go.
Yeah, and they're now
Wait, so you need to tell me
cans.
that Parrish didn't struggle to get it?
No.
Yeah, they're now serving the cans. Those are new on their website, so you can go and get the energy drinks now. As awesome. It used to just be the powder. Now there's the liquid. So
they're stepping up their game, just like we're doing right here on our Twitch channels as well, too. All these affiliations that have been happening all over the place, and that's thanks to all of you guys. So I will give you all a warning. We're already about 5 minutes into this stream. At about 30 minutes, there will be advertisements that come in. But if you go ahead and give us a sub, you can avoid all advertisements. So we definitely encourage, as we are joined by Ed Fries. Ed, hey to you too as well, and ole to you, my friend. So let's break it down. Match number one, we started off with a big boy matchup. There, Ed sub to avoid the ads. Ed, you're a champ, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ole way. That is the ole way.
To hell with those ads. Get them out of here.
You sub, we say.
Ole. There we go. Ole. You didn't keep it on loop like I did.
I hope not.
We just have to click it again and it stops.
I know. So there's a lot of things I don't know, as proven by today. But if we keep talking about this nonsense, we're never going to get to these incredible matchups that we had. Starting with our opening match of the night, the big boys heading down to the ring. It's Brock Lesnar taking on Bobby Lashley. And early on, I kind of predicted this was going to be a short win in this one. Needless to say, it's definitely not a short win. This match went a lot longer than I was anticipating. And Bobby Lashley really laid it into Brock Lesnar in this one. It was really nice to see a lot of great back and forth between the two of them. Interested to find out what you guys thought overall and thought of the finish of this one, too. It was definitely not the finish. Well, I mean, Brock Lesnar winning was the finish I predicted. It just wasn't in the vein of what I was expecting. But not that was so bad. Astrid, we're going to go to you first. What were your thoughts on this match?
I mean, it's something that I expected from Lesnar already, so it was nothing big on that end for me. I did like having Bobby spear him a few times before the match actually started. It is the win itself was weird to me. I was not expecting the way it happened. It took me a moment to realize that Lesnar had won, because I thought he kicked out. But sure thing, he won that way. But let's go with it for now. I guess it's just an easier way to not make Bobby look so bad, because he wasn't entirely pinned. It just came out of nowhere with the distraction. So I guess that's what happens to give him that initiative for next time.
Yeah, exactly. Allows them to build for that inevitable rubber match that I'm sure they're going to do. Parrish, your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I kind of figured that they were going to give Lashley give Lesnar, the win here. But I kind of just liked how they kind of just went at it with each other, and they did it without kind of making Lashley look bad in a loss. Like, he was actually very much in control the whole time. So he had the hurt lock on, and Lesnar just countered it. So, I mean, how many times does Brock Lesnar outthink his opponent for the win? So it's also a nice little touch that, when he even looks a little sympathetic, he can still look strong. And I think that's also new. Brock Lesnar looking a little sympathetic in a match. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, not only that, looking like Brock Lesnar might have found his Achilles heel right here, or Bobby Lashley found the Achilles heel of Brock Lesnar. It seemed like he did have the better of him, like he did at the Royal Rumble. So very curious to see how the rubber match ends up going between the two, and whether or not they'll gimmick it up as well too, whether or not they'll put these guys inside of some sort of submission match, or will they put them inside of a cage, something like that, to get a definite winner in that rubber match. But we'll soon find out as this one begins to flesh out. Next up on the card, we had the tag team titles on the line, the women's tag team titles. It's Damage Control taking on the recently crowned champions only 5 days ago of Asuka and Alexa. And I know I heard comments of hot potato with the tag titles, and that does seem to be the case at the moment. Hopefully that won't be the case moving forward so much, but who knows? It seems to be the case with these particular belts all too often in this company. But yeah, Damage Control picking up a win after an interference from Nikki Cross. And also want to mention earlier, just before this match started, was that promo backstage with the champions, and Alexa was interrupted by the logo of Bray Wyatt. And also during the matchup too, the lights going out in the arena around where the fans were sitting, almost leading to us believing that Bray is calling Alexa home or something of that fashion. We'll go to Parrish first on this one. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I wondered if they only allowed the team of Alexa and Asuka to wins just so they can actually have a title change during the show. That's kind of what it looked like. It was the only title change we saw tonight, so I was wondering if that was done just so they gave the Saudi crowd something that they didn't expect, because we didn't really see much unexpected. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that not only did they have Alexa momentarily be sidetracked in her promo with the promo of just the graphic for Bray Wyatt, but the fact that she also was the one who took the pin, I thought was a little interesting. Like, it just seemed like she was distracted on multiple levels, whether or not it was Bray Wyatt, or maybe there was something Bray Wyatt-esque with Nikki Cross and not Alexa. Like, who's to say at this point what's going on? But it's interesting to find out that Nikki Cross is the one that took out Alexa. So it looks like there's something there between the two. I'm curious to see how Asuka plays into that, because not only did she lose the championship as well, she just wasn't the direct target of Nikki Cross.
Well, and of course, Nikki Cross and Alexa have a history of their own as well, too. So maybe there'd be some continuity when it comes to that thing. But I'm going to go to you on this one, Astrid. Your thoughts on the match and the way things went down.
Yeah, I enjoy the double team that Asuka and Alexa had for a little while going on through most of the match, and the frequent tags between Damage Control as well. Even with the astronaut-looking gears, they were at least okay for me. But yeah, I thought it was interesting having Nikki involved, and like Parrish was saying, we don't know if it's Alexa or Nikki that Bray is aligned with, so that makes it interesting to think about of like what route do they decide to go in. So I'm really looking forward to that part of it. Like I said, I wonder how Asuka fits into all of this, because if Alexa does feud out with Nikki, then just leaves Asuka with nothing at the moment. Perhaps we don't know. So I'm interested to see how that goes as well. But yeah, it just like Parrish was saying, just reminds me like they just wanted to have at least one title change, and I felt like this was the easiest decision they could have had, and that's why they picked this match of all to have that title change. I just don't like the hot potato they have going on with the championships. I hope that caught an ear just keep it for a little while now, and just probably until Sasha and Naomi come back and they eventually feud over whoever is really the women's tag team champions. But other than that, I don't want any title changes for the time being.
Yeah, that's right. Prolong this one for a little while. A Damage Control, I believe, are the right people to be holding the tag team titles in the women's division right now. And I think that they need to do more with the group as a whole moving forward. So we'll see where it goes. Hopefully it's going to play out in a positive way. Up next, we had Drew McIntyre taking on Karrion Kross, this one inside the steel cage matchup. And I got to say, personal opinions on this one, it was an okay steel cage matchup. It definitely was not one of my highlights of the entire show by any means. I found that maybe Scarlett's way of working herself into the matchup was probably more entertaining than the actual physical match between these two itself. Of course, that ending, very, very soft. It just kind of felt like it took forever to get a very, really just no drive to that ending whatsoever. It didn't feel like Drew picked up any real massive victory, and it did nothing for either guy in this one. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Definitely not my favorite match by any means. Astrid, your thoughts?
Yeah, I felt the same way. It just felt like the highlight of the match was Scarlett, even though she was not the one wrestling. So just like it shouldn't be that way. I understand having her in Cross's corner, but if it's Cross versus Drew, they should be the main focus of the match and not her. And I feel like I remember more what happened with her than anything that happened in the match between both of them. The thing that really not really stood out, but just one thing that I really liked how they did was that spot when she was hanging from the ropes and just grabbed Cross and just put him over his head and threw him on the mat. That we've seen him do a few times by now. The ending itself, I thought it was interesting how they decided to have Drew just climb out, and he was quick enough to beat Cross exiting the cage with Scarlett's assistance. But other than that, I feel like it was mainly focused on her, and it shouldn't have been. If you remember more about her than the match itself, that's not a great point to think about later on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Drew draws focus away from the actual competition inside the ring. Parrish, what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the match I think we expected for these two to have. I thought it was going to be a little bit more hard hitting, to be honest. And I think that's something that they need to take away out of this is that they don't need a structure like a steel cage to beat the living daylights out of each other. And I think that's kind of what we want to see. I felt that this match didn't live up to the emotional aspect. We saw Drew try to hurt Karrion Kross with the car, right? Like we saw that stuff. I don't know about you, but if somebody tried to run me over, I'm looking for blood. And I think that might have been the secret ingredient that we were missing out here is that little extra visual of aggressiveness. And then too, that finish just wasn't executed the way it was supposed to be. And I'm just wondering now, is it a trend? Because we have seen Scarlett misuse the fireball. It's supposed to be there, therefore a miss in execution of something. And then now we're almost looking at stuff just taking a little bit too long. And I think that's the problem right now with what they're doing. It seems like they're overthinking what they want to do. It might be good in thought, but at the same time, they need to be able to execute it properly. And right now, they're just falling flat on that execution, and it's taken away everything that they're doing to lead up to that point.
Yeah, and it becomes a detriment to Karrion Kross as well, too, because they bring him in with all this hype and stuff like that. And yes, one victory can be decent and stuff like that, but when you fall flat in a second showing between these two, and they really have had no reason for a gimmick match to begin with as well, too. These two guys have a rivalry, but they have yet to have really a one-on-one true wrestling encounter that would lead to this kind of payoff inside of a gimmick match. So I almost feel like this was just there for the spectacle of having a gimmick match on this particular card between these two guys. And that's what they thought. Cage match, that'll work. It just, wasn't the greatest. I expect bigger, and I hope for better for both guys moving forward because there's a lot of talent within these two gentlemen, and I'd like to see more of a push for either one of them. Bring it to an end. This feud's not quite clicking as well as I think they hoped it would, so I think it's time for both these guys to move on.
Yeah, I thought maybe the cage match was a little bit too much for right now. Like maybe do like a no DQ or do like a no holds barred or something like that, or even do like I don't know, something else. Like obviously they just did the strap match not too long ago, and you had to kind of come back with something, but it would almost be nice if they maybe played out the whole Karrion Kross might not have been medically cleared, and they just had an unsanctioned match. Like I rewatched Shawn and Triple H from SummerSlam, I believe it was 2002, where it was the unsanctioned, and that's really all you had to do. It's just keep it simple, because right now, I just think we all want to see a fight, and I think Sheamus and Gunther showed that all you need is just a hard beat down fight in a wrestling ring to get the job done. Like I think there's just a little bit too much here. So yeah, I think I want to see blood though. Like literally, give me blood the next time these guys fight, because at that point it's like almost watching something without actually seeing anything, if that makes sense. Like, it's just missing that visual, and I think right now you need that visual.
It's kind of like an overcooked steak. It just doesn't quite have enough blood. Moving on from there is the match that most of us forgot was even on the card at this point in time. But, forgot about the being on the card, but definitely didn't forget about it afterwards, because this match actually played out pretty decently. There was a lot of great action within this one. Thought it was well done. We had the Judgment Day taking on the OC, and the Judgment Day looking very, very sharp in this one, and a victory that really helps to put them back over. They've taken a lot of the L's as of late, and I think that they need to start picking up victories to be a viable group. And I think that they got to put that on display here tonight. In fact, big time having Finn Balor take the pinfall victory over AJ. But I think the biggest takeaways we could say were some of the comments made. There was reference to the Bullet Club within this matchup from commentary, and also to Carl Anderson being a champion over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which I'm sure was very unexpected from a lot of fans. I think this might have got a very big pop from the community. We're going to go to you first on this one, Parrish. What were your thoughts on the match and also about those particular points?
Well, what I like about Judgment Day right now is that they're actually using power by numbers. They did refer to it as the Rhea Ripley factor. But yeah, they're also incorporating the fact that they do have more people than who they're fighting. So they're using that. It just seems like, finally now you're letting them actually use their strengths to their advantage. And I think that's very important here. Beforehand, we were just seeing them there, and then we weren't seeing anything. It didn't seem like they had their own swagger. It didn't even seem like they felt like a group, just people mixed together, and they called themselves the Judgment Day. Now they actually feel like a group. There's actual that belief that, where Finn goes, Damian Priest, or Dominic Mysterio, Rhea Ripley follow. And it's like that with everyone else. So I like that there's an actual swagger about that group. I also like the fact that they're also choosing the OC as their counterparts, making this an actual feud between the two. And because of that, I can emotionally get invested in every little thing that the Judgment Day is doing. So I like that. And now it's just a matter of, does the OC have a true solution to Rhea Ripley? So I think that's kind of it. Now there's those narratives going in. Therefore, I now care about everything that they're doing. So I think with that going on, you can look at Judgment Day as being a true powerhouse over on the Raw side.
And how beautiful was it that Rhea Ripley decided to pay homage to her absolute favorite by doing that hairstyle in this matchup too? It was fantastic. But Astrid, your thoughts on this matchup and maybe the hairstyle as well too, and a few of the points we brought up.
No, I feel like having them was the OC just gives me a lot of interest in both of the groups at the moment. I did particularly like the part when I believe Anderson was running after Dominic outside of the ring, and he just beats that big boot from Damien suddenly. And I also thought about this as just something that kind of similarly happened in the women's tag match, is that triple move when everybody did the move at the same time in the corner, how timely that was as well. But yeah, just like I feel like now they finally feel like a cohesive unit, and having the OC being the people that they're against, and how the people in the OC have so much experience, it just makes me interested to see how this goes later on and how it'll keep going and continue on, and who they're going to have to actually be that person to go against Rhea to make everything equal now. So I'm just definitely interested in how it goes with the group now. I feel like I lost interest after they kicked out Edge for a little bit, because I feel like it took a little bit for them to get together again and find that purpose there. But I feel like they look great together now.
Yeah, the look, the style, the rework is it's all clicking. Also removing Dominic from Ray as well too, to really legitimize himself within the group, I think is being done to perfection. I think that this is a great look for the Judgment Day going forth. They needed this win. They needed this win more than the OC did. I know, again, AJ, even in loss, is going to be beloved by the fans no matter what. So I don't think it harms him by any means to take a loss to Finn Balor. And still very invested in the idea of an AJ Finn Balor one-on-one match. If that was to take place at WrestleMania, being given a good amount of time, I think would be fantastic. Whether or not they have this as a longevity idea going into there, we don't know, but we'll see how it all pans out. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, that was that matchup. And we are getting very close to the 30-minute mark. So just be warned, anybody that's joining here, you don't know already, we're going to have some advertising that's coming up at the 30-minute mark. So just be warned, there'll be a couple minutes there. But if you go ahead and give us a sub, you'll be able to avoid all those nasty ads coming your way in just a few moments. Up next, we had the P-break match of the night. It was the two big men with about 4 moves between them, and that's combined. It's almost taking on Braun Strowman. I don't know. Braun coming back, first of all, was I mean, I wasn't that invested in it. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Omos, I can't get invested in him at all. I think all the mystique behind him as a big guy has been absolutely murdered to the point where there's no redeeming qualities within Omos as a person within the WWE. This match offered nothing other than a reprieve, a chance to go grab another beer, go take a bathroom break, whatever it was you wanted to do, because it's exactly what we thought it would be. It was Omos getting a bunch of heat for a good period of time, Braun Strowman making a quick comeback, power slam, over, done like dinner. Braun Strowman picks up the victory. I can't remember who I went to first on the last one, but Parrish, we're going to go to you anyway.
I just don't know what this accomplishes. Braun Strowman gets the win, cool. He gets the momentum. But what does it do for Omos? Nothing. What does it do for MVP? Nothing. So it almost seems like they really, I mean, yeah, maybe like he from like an execution point was maybe better tonight than he's been in the past. My thing is though, from a directional standpoint, where does he go for, like moving like passes? Like I'm just confused. Where do you put Omos now? Do you go back to Braun Strowman? Is there going to be another chapter of this? I mean, I don't think anybody wants that. But at the same time, what makes sense with Omos right now from a creative standpoint? And that's kind of where I'm just, stuck with. At the very least, if you would have got that win in some way, shape, or form, you could have at least gone back to another match and you could at least, allow this to breathe a little bit. Now it's just like, okay, it seems like Braun Strowman has an opportunity to go somewhere. Omos is stuck. So
yeah.
I'm befuddled with the creative direction now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can share that sentiment. I know Ed saying Omos looked really good. Again, it's both guys. Nothing they did was wrong. Everything looked fine. It's just missing that oomph. There really was nothing there. There's no payoff. It doesn't seem like anyone's that invested in it. So it's hard to get behind it. And I'm gonna get Astrid's thoughts on this one now. What was your perspective on this match? Was there anything that was worth a damn?
Not for me, at least. It just like you guys said, they had a great performance, but what goes on after this? What do they move on to other people? Do they stick it to going against each other one more time? Is from that standpoint, I feel like they're just at a halt. It seems. Other than that, I wasn't really interested in the match to begin with. So just like it was a match. It happened. It wasn't even memorable for me either. So that was it. I think almost for me, he was only interesting when he was with AJ. And after that, I feel like he doesn't really have a personality. So just, I don't have a way to connect with him in any way whatsoever. And with Braun, I feel like the hype has been already done with him. So there's no going back after everything. So just, I don't see the point between these two facing each other or what happens even after that too.
Yeah, where do you really go from here is the big question on this one with either one of these guys. Again, there's limitations to both guys, their in-ring ability and what they bring to the table. And we got Ed coming in. I agree with what Parrish says, but there's a lot of direction for Braun. And even with him, with a win, I'm not sure Omos goes anywhere. But we got to see Omos have a good Giants match. It's a fair assessment for sure. There's nothing, again, I say nothing particularly wrong with it. It's just like they're very limited in what they can do with Omos.
There's just no emotional investment going into this match. Yeah. I found like that to me. I think that was the major breakdown, was that there was no reason to emotionally get invested in what they were doing, because they almost every time they came in, they weren't doing anything of what really matter. Like, I'm sorry, but the days of almost beating up 3 local twigs on Raw or SmackDown should be over. Like, don't need to do this anymore. We understand it. He's 7 foot a lot. He's 400 pounds. Like, we understand he's big. You don't have to hammer it down with a hammer. We get the message. But here's an idea. Why do we care about him? And if we can understand why we care about him, then we're going to invest in what he's doing. With Braun Strowman, at the very least, he has charisma. At the very least, he's funny, and he at least brings people to him. What they're not doing with Omos properly is they're having people care. And I think that's why MVP is the wrong person for him.
Yeah, and it's a shame too, because MVP brings a lot to the table in terms of being a corner guy, a manager. It was fantastic when he had the hurt business or hurt locker. Sorry, I thought that was a fantastic stable and really did not get the legs that it deserved. I'd almost hope for some sort of reunion at some point, because I think MVP deserves better. I mean, for what it's worth, you could find a way to sneak Omos in there as the behind muscle if you really needed to. I mean, he could work that way. I also said too, like, it's funny, they announced him as 416 pounds. I said he should gain 4 pounds. They could stick him with Matt Riddle and he could be the actual 420 bro on that one. I mean, the shirt already fits. I mean, if you get it long enough. We are about a minute and 10 seconds or so away from a commercial break, but we will be continuing on the show. If you want to know what we're saying, all you got to do is go and throw us a sub right here. Otherwise, enjoy a couple of minutes of wonderful ads from our friends here at Twitch as we look to pay the bills with some of that wonderful Twitch money that's coming in right there. But if you also wanted to help do us a favor, make sure to visit our friends over at Rogue Energy. You can click that QR code in the corner of your screen right there. Place an order using the OLE Pods, a promo code that will get you 10% off of your order. We are about to hit commercial break, and we will continue to talk about the next match, and hopefully you'll be joining us very soon. We had the tag team titles, the undisputed tag team titles up next, and we got Carl joining us in the chat. Carl, my man, how's it going? Omos is the modern day Giant Gonzalez. Scratch that. Gonzalez actually hung with Taker. You could call it hanging with Taker, but yeah. Ad-free goodness now. That's right. You get in on all. You don't miss a minute of the beat when you got that ad-free entertainment going on. All it takes is one quick sub. But yeah, Gonzalez wasn't much of a great big guy either. It's same with Great Khali. A lot of these guys are just limited in the size and what they're able to do. So it's just one of those things, I guess. But the undisputed tag team titles were on the line in the very next matchup. We had the Usos taking on the Brawling Brutes. This one ended up being one of probably the stronger matches of the entire night. This was strong tag team action. The crowd really reacted quite well to both these teams in this matchup. The Usos are on an unbelievable other level. We've known this for years. They've been holding those tag team titles for a long time now, and they're on the verge of breaking that all-time record. The only thing that stand in that way of that tag team record are the ones that currently hold the tag team record, the New Day. So they come out victorious in this matchup. Barely. We know the Brawling Brutes put on one hell of a show here tonight and showed that they could very well work in a capacity as tag team champions for the WWE. There hopefully will be a rematch between these two teams in the not so distant future, because this one was a very strong matchup. Really enjoyed myself on this one. Astrid, your thoughts on the tag team title encounter?
Yeah, it's pretty well done. Like, I'm hoping to see another one between the two teams. I definitely love the part one where she just takes that it was Jay over the apron and does the punches the way Sheamus does and just stripped his shirt open where he did it to him. But I feel like they had a really good chemistry with the team, so I wouldn't mind seeing it again. It'll be interesting to see now with the New Day going against the Usos on Friday, because we've seen it a few times, but I feel like every time they just keep pique our interest in a different way, so you never know how it's gonna go. But this was one of those matches that it kept me at the edge of my seat, because I kept thinking, I know probably the Usos are not gonna lose, but still, it was like it almost gave me that possibility, that hope that they might lose. But I thought it would have been interesting if they did. Obviously, they didn't, but I liked how they kept me interested in the match that I kept thinking they were gonna lose at some point, and they weren't.
Yeah, there was that strong believability of the Brawling Brutes would walk away with the championship, even when they were paying homage to Sheamus throughout the match, using moves like White Noise as well too. There's that hope all of a sudden, especially from the crowd, the capacity on hand, that believed that this match was going to go in favor of the Brawling Brutes. Parrish, penny for your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I thought. Well, one, I just think Ridge Holland is slowly getting better and better every single time he's out, and I think him and Butch are just finding more and more chemistry with each other, and I think this is not only like really good for Ridge, but at the same time, it shows so much more depth with Butch as well. And what I really like is that there's a definite commitment with those two, with what they're doing, and because of that, you really show like. As I was saying with the Judgment Day, we're definitely seeing that Ridge, Butch, and Sheamus, they're like a tight group now. And because of that, you're able to kind of just pick up everything that they're putting down. And again, like I know I was saying a lack of emotional investment in the match before this, but this is exactly what you get when you actually care about the people involved. You're there for every near fall. You're there and you're biting for every little thing. And because of that, you're just absolutely crawling with more and more interest as the match progresses. There was multiple times where I thought this match was going to be done, but it wasn't. And I'm going to say like the Dudley Death Drop or whatever they're calling it now, but off the top, just adding to that made it look really good. And I just can't wait for the day that you actually see Ridge Holland and Butch become tag team champions, because I do think this match should establish them as the right team to take those titles off them in the near future.
Yeah, and hopefully again, if they're going to go with it, allow the Usos to break that record, then you can have that rematch, you can put them over, and you have established another top tag team within the WWE, something that they haven't done very well for quite some time. So it'd be nice to see it happen. Let's go to Ed's comment here for a minute. He's saying about the Pauls and the Brutes versus the Bloodline coming at War Games, I think. What do you guys think on this idea? Do you think that is the direction that the WWE could be leaning? But you don't want more of the Paul family on WWE television there, Pear?
I'd rather eat what I dunk in the toilet than watch the Paul brothers in action.
Astrid, I mean, we know your love for Logan Paul. This is what you want to see at Survivor Series?
No.
Okay.
Keep my post for me.
All right,
okay?
you big kibosh then. Ed, you're out. No.
Yeah.
What I'm actually looking forward to seeing is the return of the Viking Raiders. Though, like I think at some point them going up against whether it's the New Day, whether it's Usos, or whether it's the Brawling Brutes, I think that's going to be fun to watch. But I do like the idea of just putting tag teams in the War Games and just letting the tag team titles be something that matters inside War Games.
Yeah. All we know is War Games is going to be awesome. So looking forward to watching that. We got a couple more matches to run through and also a fairly interesting promo as well too. Up next was the last woman standing matchup taking place for the Raw Women's Championship. It is Bayley versus Bianca. If we listen to Wade Barrett all night, that fancy Southern English voice of his. So yes, Bianca Belair taking on Bayley in this matchup. I thought the nice little touch at the beginning with the avoidance of the weapons when Bayley kept pulling out the weapons and going after Bianca, and Bianca managing to duck those and the weapons not technically being used. I thought that was a fun spot off the start of this one. Then it started to go into all those spots and everything like that. It did get kind of over ridiculous to the point where some of it was funny. The golf cart, I think, was a very, very hilarious touch. If you're going to add a little bit of comedy to it, I think that I know it probably would have been dangerous, but the spot when Bayley's on top of the cart, if they would have sped down and she would have actually taken the flip bump off the top of the cart through the table would have been perfect. But the fact that they stopped and Bianca had to climb to the top to throw her off and she completely goes over top of the table and misses it. Yikes. But yeah, Bayley took a real shit kicking in this matchup in particular. Very interesting. And Bianca coming out the victor after that, trapping Bayley in that ladder in the corner. So still your Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair. Where do we go from here? But we're going to get the thoughts of Astrid on this one. How do you think these two ladies did in a last woman standing match in Saudi Arabia?
I enjoyed it because more than anything, at first I was afraid because of what you said at the beginning, how it started. I was afraid they were just going to stay towards the ring. But I like that they got out of there. They went towards, the entrance. They went towards the steel steps. They used the ramp. they were not afraid to use, their surroundings at all during this match. And I like that even though they sound ridiculous at the same time, you remember the spots after the match happens, which is what I like about it. It made it memorable for you, between the golf cart and the steel steps, and Bailey's knee and the ladder, stuck between the ladder and her going through the table. Just like, it sounds ridiculous, but you remember it later on, and it's just like you won't forget it about anytime soon, which is what I enjoyed about them. But in that, Bailey to Bailey on the apron was another one that I liked, and the submission that she had on the apron. So it just, those little moments here and there that just, I love how they came out on when I saw them like this, and it just, I won't forget about them. And I like how they were able to use a little bit of everything. They went from that golf cart to the steel steps to the ladders, table, everything. So I figured Bianca wouldn't be losing this, but I thought still it was something interesting and entertaining for me.
Do you feel that Bianca retaining is the right decision? Was it wrong for them to have Bailey lose again and build up to an inevitable win, or was this doing a dirty to Bailey?
I feel like I'm stuck between it because I enjoy Bianca as a champion, but I feel like it's time to bring somebody new to the table. But at the same time, with Bailey losing so much, it's disappointing as well from that end of it. It just makes me wonder where they're going next with it, because I'm not entirely sure what they're thinking about right now when it comes to that. Because we've seen Bailey lost so many times now that I don't want to see it again after this, especially in this type of match. So I'm just curious to see what they play out next between them.
Sounds good. And Parrish, your thoughts on this one and not on the Edmonton Oilers game?
Well, I thought it was a missed opportunity for one. I thought it was a true missed opportunity here. Like, I don't understand why we keep adding Bailey into these matches only to have her lose. And by doing that, you're not making Damage Control look meaningful. This is exactly what you were doing with the Judgment Day at the very beginning. The only difference is there's actual tag titles in play here. I don't like the fact that Damage Control is losing a lot, more than I find a group with numbers. And when I say missed opportunity, I'm also saying, look, you have a group of 3 people. Why aren't they getting involved in a match where it's allowed? To me, it just made 0 sense to why Dakota Kai and Io Sky did not get involved in that match to help Bailey take that title away from Bianca Belair. Wade Barrett, get it right, please. But
Bianca.
Yeah, I just don't understand that play at all, and I just don't understand why they're so afraid to take the title off Bianca Belair right now when you know you can make her better as a champion moving forward. We all know that there's more money in the chase, not in the rain, for a babyface, but yet they continuously want to do this to people that they're very high on. Because we've seen it with John Cena, we saw it with Hulk Hogan, we've seen it with Roman Reigns in the past, and it just didn't work in the long run. The only thing you're going to do with Bianca Belair is keep her stagnant at best, and then have people forced to want to either cheer and boo her at the same time, and that's not going to be a healthy thing. So let's take this opportunity to get a little bit more sympathetic with Bianca Belair, because she does so much outside of the ring that if you establish that on your broadcast, people are going to want to like her more. They're going to want to see her. You can get people care about her overcoming that next hurdle. I just think right now you did not only Bailey dirty, but I thought you did Damage Control dirty, because you just put them down a peg instead of catapulting on their momentum.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. But yeah, where do we go from here? Bianca is champion. Who do we believe is going to be the next challenger, or is it going to continue with the feud with Bailey? Do we think that there is somebody else in the works? Do either of you have a name you think that they are going to go with?
I think Becky Lynch is going to come back at some point. I have no idea what she's going to do, if she's going to be on SmackDown or she's going to be on Raw. I think that's the issue. Maybe Charlotte. That's really the only person I truthfully believe could be a thing.
Yeah. Astrid?
Yeah, I was stuck between Becky and even Charlotte if she does return, because right now I even noticed that they took her out of the banner from SmackDown on the website. So it just makes me wonder, they're just waiting till the draft happens perhaps to bring her back, and she doesn't have a brand at the moment perhaps. But either way, they could build up Charlotte to do that as well, because she's been absent for quite a while now, and we know when Becky returns, she's probably going to go off against Damage Control at first, and then probably Bianca next afterwards.
Yeah, it could be the case, or else who knows? Maybe they end up pushing her over to the SmackDown side and having that inevitable match against Ronda Rousey that was supposed to happen a long time ago. But it's time for the waiting game. We'll see how it goes. On to the next segment, I guess. Not the next match, but the next segment. This was the Bray Wyatt promo that many believed might have just been pre-taped. But no, Bray decided to show up in Saudi Arabia, definitely making me believe this was going to be more than just a promo where he gets interrupted by Uncle Howdy. And I said it right this time. It's Uncle Howdy, not Captain Howdy. But that's exactly what it was. It was another solid promo interrupted by Uncle Howdy. And it didn't really lead to anything other than maybe the moment where I thought he was alluding to the fact that maybe Bo might eventually come back, or I was hoping it would have been today even, kind of thing, when he started mentioning about his rich legacy of family history that he has within professional wrestling. I was really kind of curious to see where that was leading, and then it just again led to Uncle Howdy telling him he's a liar and that he needs to snap. He is eventually going to let go, and then he is going to unleash hell. And I guess we'll see it when it happens, but promos will only take you so far. It's about time soon that we see some action from Bray Wyatt, in my personal opinion. I'm going to go to Parrish on this one. Your thoughts on Bray's appearance here tonight?
Well, yeah. One, I actually did think we got stuff out of this. I did think the illusion of his legacy and his family was pretty much a good breadcrumb to lay down, because I do think we're going to see his little brother back in. I think it's little brother, right? Or is it big brother?
Yeah, it's younger brother.
Yeah. So like, I also do think that it's becoming more and more obvious that he, in fact, is Uncle Howdy in those promos, like just with the voice and everything like that. I know there was a photo that Carl had showed about, potentially it being his little brother. And I get, it still could, but I do feel like all this stuff that we're seeing is really a direct fight of Bray within himself and his creative mind, right? And I do think Uncle Howdy is a part of that mind. And I do think that when everything comes full circle, we're going to see that there's going to be things that matter. The one thing I thought was also interesting in this promo with Uncle Howdy interrupting him is that we actually saw not a silhouette, but we saw an image of Uncle Howdy with the mask hanging down. We just didn't see the clarity of the face. So I thought, for the one, we're actually seeing that there is some sort of a disguise with the mask. There's a lot of talk about the mask, whether it's Bray referring to the time he wore one in The Fiend, or whether or not it's Uncle Howdy showing him that the mask really doesn't change the person, right? Like, I think that was kind of the symbolism. So I do think it's one of those fight within yourselves things, but I do think that the allusion to his family is going to come into storyline at some point.
Who knows? Maybe it's Mike Rotunda behind the mask. His own father could be the one leading him, getting inside of his head. Astrid, your thoughts on Bray's appearance here tonight?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I didn't think he was actually going to be there. Even I asked you guys when we were watching, it's like, is it really there? Is it really live? But yeah, just like Parrish, I was thinking along those lines, because when he talked about his family history, I felt like it was the first time he actually talks about his real family and not just anything related to like wrestling, more like his family and his personal life. I did like the part of it when one of those lines he says, "My name is Bray Wyatt and I came to rewrite my story." I love that end of it when he said that. And also when he was talking about the mask that he was wearing, he said, "In the mask, I felt completely untouchable." And I like how even within the way he's saying it, you can see how he's been really personal with the story, with the promos where he says them as well. So just like it intrigues you in a different way than before. So I love everything that he says and the way he says it, his delivery, and it just makes you question, like, what's gonna happen next. But it just, when he kept thinking about his family history, I kept thinking, yeah, this is just giving us that sign of like Bo's gonna be involved in the story, like in shape or way or form. So I was already expecting something like this. I just expected the reveal to happen today, just to make like a buzz happen after the event. So I was expecting that. It didn't happen, so we had to wait a little bit longer for that. But other than that, I'm still intrigued by what's happening.
Yeah, he cuts one hell of a promo. There's no denying that. One of the best speakers on a microphone. And again, maybe they're prolonging it a little bit. Maybe there is more to this family lineage, and they're going to start pushing that whole family comment a lot with War Games coming up. The bloodline, the family, the family, the family. only to inevitably reveal, possibly at that time, the return of Bo Dallas, aka Taylor Rotunda, with some involvement with Bray Wyatt. But we'll have to wait and see. I think we're probably a few weeks away from the War Games Survivor Series. I don't know what the date is exactly, but not too far off, so it shouldn't be too much of wait. We'll see how things start to unfold with Mr. Bray Wyatt moving forward. But from there, it was time for that big, long-awaited, everybody's favorite main event of the evening, the inevitable fan favorite Logan Paul, because everybody loves a guy with that many YouTube subscribers, especially when he comes out and does one of these at the start of the night. Logan Paul taking on the undisputed WWE Universal 17 different names championship of the world. This one way more competitive than I was expecting it to be. Logan Paul, I mean, despite all things, he gets the moves in, but they're everybody else's moves. I feel there is no identity of Logan Paul in a professional wrestling ring other than a guy who has watched professional wrestling and has learned how to mimic professional wrestling. And that's how this felt the entire time. I felt like this, for Roman's run that he has done, this was way too much putting Logan Paul over than what was absolutely necessary. This is not to take away from Logan Paul, the athlete. Logan Paul is an incredible athlete, despite anyone's feelings on his punchable face and him personally. He is one hell of an athlete, and he does know how to go out there and perform. But at the same time, this was too much. I think Roman should have toppled him a lot sooner for the supposed God mode that he is in. And I didn't think that it needed so much outside interference like many of Roman's matches have had behind them in order for it to get over. So with that said, we know that you're dying to talk about your absolute favorite, Astrid. So what did you think of Logan Paul in this particular matchup?
Is it because it's Puerto Rico now? Is that what it is? Was it the pose?
No, it's just, it's this. He didn't even there was no lean to it. He just kind of gave one of these.
He half-assed it. Does that surprise you?
No, of course not.
No, I think it was interesting, like the moves that he brought up, because he did a box shot lariat. He did that flying forearm, and it's like, okay, I see where you're going with this. And the same thing bullsault too. So I thought like the moves themselves that he did were interesting. Just when he was about to do the super kick, the way that Roman grabbed him, I thought he was going to do a rock bottom, so I got really excited when that happened, but it wasn't. But oh well. The only thing I felt about the ending, there was a lot of everything happening. It was like everything that could happen, they just threw it on in the book. And it's like, here, we're gonna bring Jake because Jake is here. We're gonna bring the Usos out because they're here. And Solo, we can't forget about Solo. Everybody come out during this, and even like Logan's friends at ringside too, having that showdown with the Usos. So just that made me think of like the Usos versus the Pauls maybe soon. That was the only thing I could think of what this was happening. But I feel like everything happened during this match. What didn't happen at this point? But yeah, that part of just the ending was a little bit too much in that sense of like they overbooked it for me. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense having the families involved and where they're going with this. So it's not surprising that Roman won, but still it was a good showcase for Logan though.
And saying lots of gaga in this, as Pat Patterson would have said. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And especially some of that gaga in one of Mr. Parrish's favorite moments, those incredibly dog shit punches that Jake Paul threw at the Usos. But Parrish, your thoughts on the entire match outside of that moment with Jake Paul?
I mean, for a guy that's a boxer, I mean, seriously, dude, like, what the hell? Like even Shane McMahon threw better punches, and that's saying a lot. But I mean, yeah, was it a little much? Yeah, it was, and I think a really good spot kind of indicated this. I remember Logan Paul actually got a top rope. I think it was a crossbody off Roman Reigns, and instead of just going right into the pin, he floats over and does a moonsault, when it's like, dude, the crossbody would have been just as fine and would have got you the same amount. What you did was you stopped everything just to get it back up. It was so unnecessary. And I think that's kind of the story of this match. A lot of it just seemed a little unnecessary. I understand why they did it. They wanted to make this a spectacle. But given everything going on, I thought what you did was slightly just too much. And you just didn't have to do that. Like, why couldn't you have just brought your entourage to begin the match, kind of, instead of having this to be a bigger play? Like, I think we remember the Sting Triple H Mania match, and the match really kind of hit a lull in the sense of the momentum when DX and the NWO came out. And I got a lot of those vibes because I just thought it was hilarious that we're going to give Jake Paul an entrance. We're going to give Solo an entrance. We're going to allow Jake Paul to get physically involved in something, but then we don't let Solo do it. And Solo's supposed to be the heel. It was weird. And I don't feel the distraction was creative enough that Roman just couldn't have done something like that by himself. Like, I just thought it was poorly executed of all the people around. It wasn't as chaotic of a scene as it should have been with all those people around, but it was an okay match. It wasn't by far Roman Reigns' best outing. I thought he did a great job of making Logan Paul feel important. Mm-hmm. However, I don't think Logan Paul did enough to make Logan Paul memorable.
No. Yeah,
and I think that's the problem. Like you said, he doesn't have an identity when he's doing everybody else's stuff. I knew when he does that off the rope hit onto Roman with the nip up, I knew that was Shawn Michaels coming in. But what Shawn Michaels doesn't do is when he falls out, he doesn't like hit you like that. He hits you coming in. Trust me, you don't fuck with Shawn Michaels with this guy. I was in for Halloween, damn it. I know my Shawn Michaels stuff. But it just bugs me that of all this time, and it's been, a better part of a year now since he's been starting wrestling, that Logan Paul hasn't made himself look like Logan Paul. He's only made Logan Paul look like variations of other people. Yeah. Is he impressive with his athletic ability? Damn right he is. But it's time now to focus on what makes you you.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, as Parrish said, he became the Heartbreak Kid watching Logan Paul doing those maneuvers in this matchup. I guess we could probably universally say this was definitely not the best match on the card, but with that being said,
universally said, I saw you did there. I saw you did. Yeah, you little double.
Yeah. See, but what I want to do here as we wrap things up is not only ask for you guys to give a star rating on the entire card, but also say what your favorite match of the entire evening was as well too. I'll start it off. I will say that, entertainment-wise, Bayley and Bianca definitely was the best overall interesting match on the entire card. I would say a surprise for me, though, was Brock and Lashley. I think I enjoyed it more than I was expecting to, so that one was definitely good. But I'd say the tag match probably was the best overall matchup of the card. Star rating-wise, I'm going to sneak it by with a 3.5 out of 5. I think I was entertained enough. I wasn't bored, but it didn't blow me away, and we're not going to remember this for anything spectacular at the same time. Astrid, your star rating and best match of the night.
I'm going to get a 4 out of 5 just because I know that Omos and Strowman match is not it for me. And just Brock and Bobby was okay. I feel like it could have been better, but it's just the big guys. So you don't expect a lot from them. You already expect a short match to begin with. My match, though, the night is definitely Damage Control versus Alex and Asuka. I feel like they did really great, and they have really great chemistry as well.
Yeah, it was a good one too. Parrish, star rating and best of the night.
By no means was this show perfect, but by no means was it lackluster either. There is a lot of good things to take away out of this, so it's by far better than a pass in my opinion. I do think it's about maybe a 3.75 out of 5. I do think there was room for improvement. I do think you could have had more of a main player go up against Roman Reigns for that championship match. I do think that had Bayley defeated Bianca for that title, I probably would have gave this a solid 4.25 out of 5 here. I do think that there is something that was missing out of this pay-per-view, and it was a little bit of unexpected. That's kind of what I needed out of this. I don't think it's an argument. Both tag matches were clear-cut matches of the night. You can go back and forth. Like, honestly, I do like the Brawling Brutes against the Usos, but that's simply because of how impressive I think Ridge Holland is becoming in there. And there's never a negative thing to say about Butch, and the Usos are they're truly the matching they're the best right now in WWE. They are the top. They're the bar that needs to be set as a tag team in WWE is concerned, and they proved that again tonight. But I do think Asuka and Alexa surprised a lot of people with their chemistry today, and I think watching Io and watching Asuka in a ring is just beautiful. So give me more of that, please.
Yep. So there we go. We're kind of universal in our thoughts, definitely on the star rating and generally speaking on the matchups as well, too. I mean, I did also love the women's tag team title match. I thought it was one of the stronger ones on the card. But what do you want to talk about? Memorable shows, though. I got a whole list of memorable shows that's coming your way right here on our local establishment. As all week, starting as of Monday, we've got a plethora of great talent going to be filling your screens, and we're going to go to a weekly video telling you what to expect from our local establishment. Stay tuned.
To me, like a voice inside my head. It's like a fight back and I'll tweet it. Falling, frustrated, intoxicated. I know I'm losing myself. I can't take it anymore. But I'm not done. I'm not done. I won't give up until the end. But I won't fall. I'll stand away.
And yes, that's the one thing about doing live producing is you can't hide behind your own mistakes. That's for sure. Don't let Bobby touch the buttons is the motto of the day, and most days anyway. But that is our weekly calendar coming up starting as of Monday. We got a lot of great shows, a lot of great talent. Again, episode 2 of Pair Mindful. That's exciting as well, too. That's a great show here on our local establishment. Something that's not wrestling based that we can offer, but a lot of great things as well, too. Turnbuckle Talk and Taking Over on Tuesday nights. Just great shows that everybody should be out there supporting and support the individuals behind them as well, too, because we got a lot of great talent here at our local establishment. And if you want to get in on the conversation, make sure to join us for all these live shows. But with that being said, because we need to get that in there. Where can we find one another this week? I'm going to go over to you first, Parrish. Where can we find you this week?
You can definitely find me over down on the socials at Twitter at Chris Parrish, the Instagram Chris.Parrish, my Twitch at the Chris Parrish. Stream-wise, you can definitely find me Tuesdays, every Tuesday, taking over alongside this little one over here, the natural, the big star, Jake Paul's #1 fan, Astrid Pizarro. And then tomorrow, you can actually follow the Branch Busters, the top here. Mr. Top Left, Top Right, as we bring you kind of the 8.5 edition, the 9th edition. Now that we did the Hump Day special on Wednesday, I guess this is number 9 of Busting Out. But yeah, make sure
this is 8B. That's what it is.
So and it's actually fun because this is the first Busting Out where we're both going to be on different times. Oh
yeah, that's right.
But yeah, no, that's where you can find me, and then also just check out my Twitch because sometimes I do things for no reason. So check that out.
Yeah, hopefully I figure out that time tomorrow, so I actually make it in time for Busted Out. So I'll figure it all out because apparently I live in the land time forgot. Astrid, how about you? Where can people find you this week?
I got Tuesday taking over with this one here. Now I can move. Thursday I got Making an Impact with Cody, and today at 6 o'clock, I had to think about the day. I'm premiering my interview with Billy Starks. So it's episode 10 of Astrid Ask on my YouTube. And then tomorrow, the audio version of Ladies Wrestling Showcase will be live as well on the podcast platforms when we talk about the PWI ranking. And other than that, on the weekends, I do my NXT review, Women's Wrestling Talk. And I think that's about it for the moment.
And to answer Ed's question, they're different times. Yes, Alberta and Saskatchewan during daylight savings times are on the same time because we don't switch the clocks here in the good old SK. But as of tomorrow, those clocks change once again. In Alberta, I believe you go an hour ahead of me, if I'm not mistaken, Parrish.
We spring forward, fall back, so we'll be going back an hour. So what would be 11 o'clock your time will be 10 o'clock my time.
Oh, interesting. It's going to be a fun time figuring that all out. But of course, you can find me, check out the ticker below. You could also check me out tomorrow on Bustin' Out, as Parrish mentioned. You can check me out on Thursday nights with Papa Smokes, where we're going to be doing our version of Fusion, which is going to change a little bit. We're actually going to be doing a live watch along of Fusion while we're giving you a review and a breakdown. And right afterward, we're going to raid Cody and Astrid, who are going to be making an impact, talking all things Impact Wrestling, because Thursday night's all about MLW and Impact Wrestling, the two best companies on the planet today. That's what I got going on this week, and what we've got going on in OLE. You've already checked that out. We want to thank you all for joining us here today for this wonderful pay-per-review. And I know I forgot to play this intro video at the end, at the beginning of the show, so I'm going to play it on the way out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you throughout the entire week. Have a nice rest of your day.